Welcome to 10 Minutes with 10 Leaves, your go to podcast for insightful conversations in under 10 minutes. I'm your host, Bhumika Arora, and today we are diving into a fascinating and rapidly evolving field, biotechnology. Joining us is Rohit Ghai, founder of 10 Leaves, who will help us explore how biotechnology is shaping our lives, its thrilling yet daunting possibilities, and its growing connection with artificial intelligence. Rohit, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Bhumika. Excited to be here and discuss this transformative field.
Right, Rohit. Let's start with the basics. Many people associate biotechnology with scientific labs and complex research. But in reality, it's deeply woven into our everyday lives. How does biotechnology affect you and me on a daily basis?
That's a good question. We always want to know what's the micro of it, what's in it for me. Well, Bhumika, life itself is universe's most ancient technology, right? 3.7 billion years ago, you had a single cell organism which came into being. And today it's human beings walking on Earth. So I'd say biotechnology is quite old, not as new as AI. Let's take selective breeding, for instance, that friendly neighborhood cat and dog you see. That also is biotechnology. Is the thing is that we didn't do it ourselves in a way that we intended to, or a fast track process, but that
Right.
still is biotechnology. Genetically modified crops. You go visit your grocer, you find the carrots looking the same, the cucumbers looking the same, seedless fruits. Nature didn't intend for fruits to be seedless, but that's what you see on a lower level. Now, on a higher level, let's say curing diseases, COVID-19, the vaccine, big result of biotechnology. Of late, anti-aging technology, a lot of research into how they can, flip the switch that makes us age. Synthetic babies, editing genomes to see if you can get the right color of eyes and the right height and things like that. Neuralink, Elon Musk's another contribution to humanity, but basically making the blind see, things like that. So that's on a higher level. There are concepts of DNA printing, although it sounds a bit funny, but it is currently possible. Low, I mean, very, very basic, but grows with time. So you can train and adapt enzymes and adapt proteins to make them work the way you want them to. And of course, there's the physical manifestation of AI, if I may, robotics. So yes, a lot of ways biotechnology has touched and will touch our lives. And by the way, did you know that all the world's data can be stored in a kilogram of DNA?
Really? I didn't know that. I definitely didn't know that, Rohit.
So, yep, that answers your question. Biotechnology is all over.
Right, I think that's very informative, Rohit. With such vast potential, biotechnology brings both hope and concern. From your perspective, what makes biotechnology both exciting and at times a little intimidating also?
Exciting and intimidating. Yeah. So, okay, let me give you an example. Okay. Now, 20 years back, would you be able to go buy an F-16 or a Tomahawk missile or something of that sort? But forget 20 years back, even now. You have countries developing these weapons at such a scale, countries fighting each other at such a scale. The power of an individual, these are all beyond the reach of you and me or individuals per se. So I'd say there was limited power available to a person, and that's the reason limited damage. Yeah, you give him a weapon, he can go shoot a few people and do that damage, yes. But can you really bring down a country? Now, biotech helps develop vaccines, but can also be used as a bioweapon. So all tools are, there's a dual use for these kind of tools. You can do good and you can do bad. Now, the problem here is that earlier you had a limited reach for an individual, but today one individual can have let's say, a disproportionate effect on the world, bringing down a country's financial system or air traffic control just by using computers. And now these computers or these tools would be powered by artificial intelligence. So, the AI thing about self-learning and improving with every attempt. Imagine if you have a worm, not the physical worm, the digital worm, which goes in and affects computers. And imagine if it goes in and affects computers and someone's trying to get rid of it, and then it learns on the go and it fights that off and it continues to do so. A very ongoing cyber attack from I don't know how much time. So that's dangerous. And no one seems to be addressing it. The same thing goes for biotech, for instance. You have kits that can be assembled in a garage and possibly wreak havoc all over. One individual, for instance, can make a virus or change a certain property of a virus with the generous help of ChatGPT. How do you mitigate something like this? I've been thinking actually, see, in the financial system, I work a lot with financial companies. So in the financial system, you have KYC, there's a certain barrier to entry and monitoring. You open a bank account, they ask your passport copy, Emirates ID, and they continually monitor your transactions and things like that. Now, AI comes in at $20 a month. What's the barrier to entry? Pay the money, and you have access to much more computing power than was available even 2 years back. Now,
Right.
and there are no checks and balances. So, a recipe for
Mhm.
disaster, I would say, from a biotech perspective, there are ethical concerns as well. Anti-aging and replacing all your organs that wear out, designer babies. When will we cross the line from being Homo sapiens to being maybe what, Homo tech? I don't know.
Right. And speaking of rapid advancements, artificial intelligence is playing a growing role in biotechnology. How are these two fields coming together, Rohit?
So, see, technology doesn't grow in silos. Now, there's a book I read about the coming wave, and technologies happen in waves. So you had the industrial revolution, which kind of, you invented the steam engine, but a lot of things happened with that. So similarly, AI, biotechnology, quantum computing, all of these in some shape or form are fueling each other. I'll give you an example. Now, a protein, it's now DNA sequencing has already been done. You already know that that itself was a miracle and thought of as impossible, the code of life. So they sequence the whole DNA. I mean, the whole DNA sequence is now available, right? If you care to see it. But that's not enough. Now, to know how a protein works, and proteins are again the building blocks of how life works, you need to know how the protein folds. So it's a very interesting concept. I read about it the other day. It's just not enough to know. So every protein folds differently. And
Mm-hmm.
to know how that happens, it's not as simple. It's not like, you fold a piece of paper and you unfold it or something. They're very, 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 it's computational biology actually. And the computing power of AI is key to this. So that's an instance of how you need AI to further biology because you need to know how to unravel the protein and as a consequence, know how it works. Of course, I mentioned Neuralink earlier. Now they're working on a brain interfacing technology, which would connect us directly to machines. And at the I think they had this experiment earlier. They made a blind person see something and things like that. So at the end of the day, it is brains interacting. I mean, the technology interacting with our brains directly, and maybe in part making us part machine in due course. Who knows? I mean, imagine the possibilities when our brain has access to computational power of AI. Via thought. And that's something which would be really, really crazy. But uh, that's already started in some shape or form. They started working on it because these are actually general purpose technologies. So you can talk to each other and fuel each other. So AI leads to improvements in biotechnology. Biotechnology, on the other hand, helps the physical manifestation of AI. And then you go into nanotechnology, which is a subject by itself, which is so fascinating. You can have these small bots crawling into your bloodstream and going attacking cancer cells and getting rid of them. Rather than the chemotherapy side of things right now, which kills all cells. So
Right.
these are going to change the world in multiple ways that we can't imagine right now. Really.
Mm. Right, I'm sure. Rohit, that was very insightful. It's clear that biotechnology is not just a field of the future, it's actually transforming our present in ways we might not even realize. From everyday applications to ethical dilemmas and AI driven breakthroughs, there's so much to consider. Well, thank you for joining us today, Rohit, and sharing your expertise.
Thanks, Bhumika, for having me on the podcast again. Always great to be here. Looking forward to many such conversations.
Likewise, Rohit. And that wraps up the episode of 10 Minutes with 10 Leaves insightful information in under 10 minutes. If you found this discussion valuable, don't forget to share it and stay tuned for more thought provoking conversations. See you all next time with actionable insights. Until then, stay curious, stay informed.